Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, thank you, Administrator Dixon. I do want to go back to pilot training, and obviously in light of the MAX 8 accidents, one of the real priorities for me, and I talked at length about this, was addressing international pilot training standards and the over-reliance we're moving towards when it comes to automation in the cockpit and moving away from manual flying skills or just being able to fly the aircraft if a problem manifests itself. And I'm just curious if the FAA is ensuring that its engagement with the international community is actually going to result in any positive changes. Are you seeing that? Is the international community being receptive to that? And I think you share those same concerns with me, and I'd just like you to address it real quick.
Well, it's a great question, Ranking Member Graves, and we have long-standing efforts through multiple forums to improve international safety standards through ICAO, multilaterally, and bilaterally. And I'm always working with my counterparts around the world on these issues. We want to make sure that we drive specific improvements. I think you're aware of the pilot licensing and training panel. The FAA is actually leading the automation working group there. We have our chief scientist on human factors and also one of our foremost pilot training experts who is leading that work. Also, some of the things that we have done within the U.S., and I'll point to upset prevention recovery training. We are working to incorporate that at ICAO and also into ICAO standards, and also promote it and work with civil aviation authorities around the world to assist pilots in either preventing an upset, but if one does occur, making sure that they have the skills to be able to recover from it. And then finally, we have an advisory circular on flight path management that has been several years in the making. It includes topics on guidance on manual flying skills, managing automation, and active pilot monitoring. And that will be out for public comment here within the next few weeks. And then we will work to promulgate those principles internationally.
I look forward to that. And that's perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. And I want to shift directions right now back to what I mentioned earlier in my opening too, when it comes to the new rule interpretation, when it comes to flight training and standard and limited and experimental category aircraft, and the confusion that is causing amongst the instructor community, the pilot community. It's really creating a problem for us, and I just want to ask if the FAA is addressing that. We're looking at legislation within NDAA to address it, but it would be a whole lot more help if the FAA would address it internally.
Well, again, thank you for the question. I think, as you know, I addressed this head on up at Oshkosh Air Venture this year. In fact, referred to Letter of Deviation Authority, or LODA, as a four-letter word, because I know that it has created some confusion and some frustration out there. So to get through this, we have created a process where, far from being bureaucratic, we've actually created a very quick turnaround process on these approvals. The time to process the deviation request is less than a day. This actually wasn't a change in legal interpretation. I know that there are feelings to the contrary, but during the course of a court case, what came to our attention is that our guidance and the underlying regulation, which is controlling, were inconsistent. And so we had to update that guidance. And we are going to update the rules to address the inconsistency permanently. But we want to have an interim process in place that facilitates and allows the training that you're talking about to continue uninterrupted. So we're going to continue. We will continue to work with you, I promise, on this issue. I want to make sure, though, that we're really talking about something that's very narrowly focused. And, again, we want to make sure that this doesn't go into other areas where I think we're actually in very good shape.
Okay. And one last question on when it comes to the vaccine mandate, was the FAA able to convey to the administration just how much of a problem this could create when it comes to manpower shortages and pilot shortages? And the simple question I ask is, did the administration even ask the FAA for any guidance on this?
Well, again, obviously the purpose that we want people to get vaccinated as a country, and we want to get COVID-19 behind us. That's the point. And the CDC is the public health authority. That aspect is certainly not within the FAA's purview. But I will tell you that my focus is on aviation safety and on making sure that the aviation system can operate and that those jobs are out there, not only during the pandemic, but that we live to fight another day, if you will, and have the most dynamic and diverse and thriving aviation system going forward. And so that's what we're really focused on, is making sure that we minimize disruptions and making sure that we maximize predictability by keeping the air traffic system operating and making sure that the airlines and all operators of the system can continue to operate in a seamless way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.